Have you ever had a moment where nothing in your life is wrong, but something in it doesn't feel like yours? Not in a dramatic way, not like everything is falling apart, just quietly. Like you're standing in the middle of everything you built, and somehow you don't feel connected to it. I've had that feeling before. Not because something failed, not because things went wrong, but because everything kept going. One step at a time, one decision after another. Nothing felt big enough to question. Nothing felt wrong enough to stop. So I kept moving. And before I knew it, I was somewhere I don't remember choosing. Maybe you felt that too. Not lost, not broken, just slightly disconnected. Like you're living a life that makes sense, but doesn't fully feel like you. And when you try to trace it back, it's hard to find the moment where things changed. Because there wasn't one. Just small decisions. Saying yes when it was easier. Staying when it felt safer. Choosing what made sense instead of what felt true. And the strange part is, you were there for all of it. Every decision, every step. But you weren't really choosing. You were agreeing, adjusting, becoming what made sense instead of what felt like you. And none of those moments felt important enough to question. But they added up, quietly, until one day you stop and realize you've been walking a path you never actually chose. And maybe it wasn't that life took you here. Maybe you just stopped noticing the moments where you could have chosen differently. And that realization, it's not loud. It doesn't hit all at once. It just sits there, uncomfortable, hard to explain. Because from the outside, everything looks fine. You've done what you were supposed to do. You've been responsible. You've built something. But inside, there's a quiet disconnect. Like you've been showing up for a life that doesn't fully belong to you. And maybe that's the hardest part. Because there's no one to blame. No single decision, no clear mistake. Just a series of moments where you slowly stopped asking yourself what you actually wanted. And maybe you didn't even notice when it happened. Because life doesn't always pull you off track. Sometimes it just gently leads you somewhere else. And you follow. Not because you're careless, but because you're human. Because you wanted stability. You wanted certainty. You wanted to do the right thing. And somewhere along the way, right started to matter more than true. So you kept going. Even when something inside you felt slightly off. Even when there were moments, small ones, where you paused and thought, is this really what I want? But you moved past it. Because questioning it felt inconvenient. Because changing direction felt risky. Because everything around you kept reinforcing, this is what life is supposed to look like. So you stayed. And time passed. And now you're here. Not in the wrong place. Just not in a place you consciously chose. And maybe that's why something in you has been feeling restless. Not loudly. Just enough to make you notice. A quiet tension. A subtle discomfort. A feeling that something isn't fully aligned. And maybe that's not a problem. Maybe that's awareness. Maybe the fact that this feels uncomfortable means you're not as far gone as you think. Because if you were completely disconnected, you wouldn't feel anything at all. But you do. And that matters. Maybe more than you realize. Maybe the question isn't, did you choose this? Maybe it's, when did you stop noticing that you had a choice? And maybe somewhere along the way, you didn't just lose direction. You left something of yourself behind.